have the pleasure of introducing Forrest Leichtberg, and he is the founder of Consciousness Network, which is the first networking organization for conscious businesses in Santa Barbara and probably in all of Southern California. I don't really know of any other organization. And it always had been my hope, being involved as an entrepreneur in a conscious business, as a spiritual counselor, to have a networking group that I could go to where there would be people there that also had the same values I did. And wonderful people, but not a lot of people with the same values. So when I heard of Forrest's work in beginning Consciousness Network, I was thrilled. So he is an activist, definitely, and a humanitarian who believes in unlimited potential of the human spirit. He's committed to raising awareness about local and digital resources to help people further their lives personally, professionally, and collectively. He describes himself as a man who follows his heart, listens to the guidance of spirit and the unfolding of his vision, and seeks to make the maximum impact he can upon the world by supporting the conscious community and stepping into all that it can be. And that is a wonderful introduction for you, darling. It is the perfect representation of who you are. Welcome, Forrest.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, what's the mission and vision of Consciousness Network?
Well, the mission and the vision of the Consciousness Network is really contained within the title. Because the ultimate vision that I have is a world of well-being and peace and harmony and happiness, where we're all able to eat, we all have homes, we all understand how to cultivate harmonious relationships. I mean, that's the ultimate vision of the world that I have. And so what's going to create that is a thriving consciousness network, a thriving global consciousness network. So that's the ultimate vision that I'm working towards, that I know is not going to, I don't believe it's going to happen in my lifetime. Really? But it's an ideal that I aspire to contribute towards, and I aspire to support humanity in moving towards that. But the vision that's more of a shorter term vision is creating more of a cohesiveness within the conscious community on a local level and also on a global level. And local level by hosting events that bring this community together, that serve numerous purposes that I'm happy to go into today. And then replicating those events when the time comes to other cities, but also creating digital technologies and platforms that involve the conscious community around the world. Yeah.
So I don't know if I missed this when you first responded, but how would you define consciousness, if you were to define it?
Consciousness is, I've come around as many definitions of consciousness as I have people who define it. But to me, consciousness means bringing awareness, love, and exertion into our lives. So I'll explain a little bit. Awareness is the awareness that our choices have consequences. And that's karma, that's just cause and effect. We have this awareness, and then we develop awareness about which actions are going to lead to which consequences. And we have the love to care about making the choices that serve the well-being of the whole. And then we have the ability, the exertion, to actually act in alignment with those values that stem from our love. So to me, consciousness is about living and operating in a way where we are embodying those three qualities in everything we do as much as we can.
Okay, good.
Well, Forrest, I've known you since you were a tree. I was waiting to say that. And now you're a forest, okay? But I'm bummed. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And I want to challenge you a little bit as it relates to this, because I met you a couple years ago when your vision for what could possibly be was highly uncertain.
Sure.
Right? And now you're at a point where you're really moving things forward that you could not have predicted 2 years ago.
Right.
So the fact that you may think that you may not see the totality of your vision in your lifetime, I want to offer you the possibility of anything being possible when it comes to consciousness. And as long as you continue to embody that vibrational presence and that vision of what you know in your heart to be true, and allow that to come forth, and it's going to come forth in all kinds of magical and mysterious ways that you can't even begin to comprehend or predict today. So I want to invite that in as a very real possibility for you.
Sure.
And given that, what is your inspiration? And are you, in terms of something that's maybe more specific in your life that led you to this glorious vision of what we could possibly be that's led you into what you're doing right now?
Well, it came from partly desperation, partly inspiration. The desperation part was, what's my purpose? Why? What am I meant to do? I didn't have any idea. A year and 4 months ago is when this whole thing began with the Consciousness Network, and so I became frustrated enough to really seek more earnestly, and to really pray more about it, and ask Spirit more, like talk to my friends more. What am I meant to do? And then the inspiration came from the inspiration came actually from the conscious community itself. I was inspired by these people who value love and compassion and being their best selves, being the best that they can be, and showing up when it's time to be a teacher, they're a teacher. When it's time to be a healer, they're a healer. When it's time to be a friend, they're a friend. And so I was inspired by this way of life that is shown by so many in this area. And I just saw this this opportunity to create a space for that community to come together from all sorts of different groups. Because there are many different groups within the conscious community. You've got environmentalists, social activists, you've got conscious business people, you've got people walking spiritual paths like Buddhism and Taoism and Hinduism. And so I just thought, let's create a space for them all to come together where we can nurture their collaboration and see what happens. And that was the inspiration.
Tell us about the space. Last night there was an event that several of us attended.
Yes.
And which was like your 10th one?
This was our 10th event. Yeah.
So share about your event. If people that are seeing the show today might be interested in attending your next one.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the events are called Conscious Networking Events and Expos. Conscious Networking Event and Expo. And we're actually changing the title to Consciousness Expo and Symposium. But these events start out with the first 2 hours being an expo. It's a consciousness expo. So we have 30 to 40 exhibitors who are selling food, selling gemstones, marketing personal services. There are coaches and healers and readers and massage therapists, all sorts of different people from this field. And of course, the conscious community gathers to network and meet each other. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of meeting like-minded people. And there's a lot of opportunity that is mined at these events by forming connections among people who really have the heart for service. And then the second portion of the event is a speaker symposium. So last night we had Gay and Katie Hendricks speak. There were 200 people there in the room. It was packed. And they spoke on improving your relationships consciously. And it's just a fun, entertaining, informative speaker symposium. We bring speakers in on all sorts of different topics for the community. It's professionally produced. It's not casually produced. And people leave feeling inspired. It's an honor to do. It really is.
Yeah, and it really is exactly as Forrest describes it. So I encourage those of you that are interested to check it out. Yeah.
Forrest, it's out of time today. We are so grateful to have had you here. And thanks to you, we're actually going to have Kay and Katie Hendricks on our show.
That's right.
In our next guest.
On August 12th. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.